Welcome to Music Connects People, the podcast about the music and musicians that bring people together and provide the soundtrack of our lives. I'm your host, Thom Jennings, a music writer based in Western New York. This week's episode features a conversation with Chris Voss of The Record Company. Formed in Los Angeles in 2011, The Record Company has quickly established themselves as one of the best live bands around. The three-piece band combines the sounds of great American blues and punk bands. They have truly forged a unique sound that has already brought together a strong fan base. I was introduced to the record company by my sister Kathleen, and in 2018 we were able to connect in Atlanta, Georgia, and catch an amazing live performance from the band. Even though my sister and I live 900 miles apart, the music of the record company brings us together. When we went to see the record company in Atlanta, my good friend Jack and I flew down to Atlanta from Buffalo, and we got to see the show with my sister, my brother-in-law, my niece, and her fiancée. It was a splendid evening. In addition to being a great performer, Chris Voss is clearly a humble and introspective musician. He loves his fans, his band, and he's very grateful for what he does for a living. I hope you enjoy this interview along with some selections from the record company's latest album. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Thom. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. This is quite an honor. I'm probably a little older than your average fan at 52 years old, but a lot of friends and family that really love your music. Got to see you in Rochester at the Lilac Festival this summer, and it was an incredible show.
Oh, thank you, Thom. No, it's an honor to have anybody. You know, we welcome all. So we're not keeping a gate we're not keeping a gate holding anybody out of this situation. So we're happy to hear it, and I love it when music can be shared amongst family and friends. That's really special stuff.
Yeah, I read about a fan that you had in St. Louis that you met early on that used to come by and you still stay in touch with. So, you must have grown up being a music guy, and I know you talk about some of your influences like the Beastie Boys and other people like that. I mean, were they your band growing up? Were they the bands that you kind of were like following and loving and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, growing up, I was a little bit of an oddball. I was, in my teenage years, I got like heavy into like Ray Charles, and I loved all the rock stuff. I loved like the stuff that was happening at the time, but I was like steeped in, I'd be knee deep in my Muddy Waters chess box set, while my buddies were listening to whatever, was kind of going on, or Ray Charles, Atlantic years. Like I'd be listening to Sam Cooke and Aretha Franklin, and then guitar players. It was always, the Chuck, your Chuck Berrys, your Jimi Hendrixes, I just, the Ramones, the Stooges. That was kind of the stuff I really loved. As a youngster, I always just, and I liked, I liked any bands from the South. I was a huge Southern rock and Southern blues fan.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of hard to pin down your guys' sound, and in a good way. You can definitely tell that there's a musical stew happening there. At what point,
sure,
especially as a trio, I imagine it's got to be harder to kind of expand, but you just bring a lot of different stuff to, even over 2 albums, you've evolved a lot.
Thank you.
What do you attribute that to? Is it the chemistry between the three guys? How does that all come to play? Because you said it's just so unique.
Well, thank you. Well, everybody can play all the instruments. So, in the studio, just because you're hearing a guitar doesn't always mean it's me. You know what I mean? So we all have different perspectives on different things. All the instruments played on it. If there's a keyboard on there, that'd probably be the Mark or Alex playing that. Harmonica, I'd do that. Whatever's needed. So I think it just comes from all of us we have really diverse tastes. We across all of us, we might be just as likely to put on a Genesis record as we are to put on a Zeppelin record, as we are to put on a Clash record, as we are to put on something like Aphex Twin even, or Boards of Canada, so kind of go all over the map and just draw inspiration from whatever grabs you. The door is not closed to that either. So I think it's just us trying to, we've all been around the block. We've all been in a lot of different bands. And if you've never been in a band or you're not a musician, the best way I can say it is, I think people could relate to it like this. There are folks music is a conversation. And in life, when you meet your best friends, your husband, your wife, people that you're close to, you find that the conversation was so easy, and that's why you get close. And it's the same with musicians. Some people you walk in a room with and you just can talk, and you can keep talking. And we've just been able to have a good conversation musically with each other. Since the day we met. So it's just a relationship. It's one of those things you treasure and you protect.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's interesting when you talk about relationships, and I know we kind of started with the whole fan relationship thing. And as I was thinking about speaking with you today, trying to look for maybe that common thread that makes record companies such a unique band. And I was thinking, you guys remind me a lot of, not musically, but there was a band I grew up listening to called Triumph, and their message was always so positive. And to me, what I love about your music is that it has this overarching positive theme that is like, hey man, life may punch you a little bit, but you're going to make it through it. And and it's great, man. I mean, it really is very inspiring, and those must be really good lyrics to sing as well.
Well, it's born of a hope and out of lessons learned that the chips ain't always up. Sometimes the chips are down. But in the end, you got friends, you got family, but looking at that person in the mirror and making sure that you are doing your best, that you're putting yourself back together. We all make mistakes. We all have problems. We all have had the dark times. We've all seen, our dreams get smashed to ribbons. Everybody's gone through this, be it a relationship, a job, just a personal thing, physical ailments, whatever it might be. All of us face our own individual challenges, and I think we just, in our music, we wanted to sing about staring that in the eye, and just kind of trying to push on, and keep the faith that if you work hard and you keep doing, and you're a good person, and you keep a positive mindset, and you put one foot in front of the other, that you can get somewhere.
Well, I'm looking busted, working for nothing. Who can be trusted? When the rent keep doubling, cards keep shuffling, you
said the one standout song I remember from the new album is "Make It Happen," and I think, like you said, it's one of those songs that it's inspirational, but it's realistic. And I think a lot of people think of blues music as being sort of, life is a bummer and all that other stuff. But blues has always really been a hopeful music, and I think right. You capture that essence of it. It's not blue, it's not depressing. It's fun, it's a good time.
Well, it's uplifting. It's uplifting. We can relate to great artists. I'm not speaking of us. I'm speaking about music that you're speaking of and the music that we like to listen to. I'm not speaking about us here when I say great artists. I'm talking about other artists, but I just want to be clear on that. But what I'm saying is that the artists who have played that kind of music the best, even if they're felt terrible playing it, hearing that the human being in that beauty confess something so honest, it calls to our spirits as people, and it is uplifting. It's funny how sad songs can make you happy, and happy songs can make you sad. Music is just it's that invisible, intangible game changer. If you put it on in a room, it changes the room. If it turns off, it changes the room. How many times have you been in a party or even in a restaurant and the music suddenly turns off? Everybody suddenly becomes very aware of what's happening in the room. There's something to be said for that. And I don't think you can quantify it, or understand it. It's just there, and it's something you just got to go, well, I guess there is a little magic in this universe. There it is.
Well, I know you didn't want to say it, but I'll say it. I mean, you guys are great artists, and I'll tell you that when I first saw you live, I couldn't believe you were a 3-piece. I thought you were maybe a 5 to 7 piece, and you were able to recreate that sound. But it's interesting. I came to you via my sister. Your music brought us together, and I'm actually coming down to Atlanta to see you with my sister for the first time, and it's going to be a really cool occasion for us. But
that's amazing.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, it really is. I mean, as you said, everything you talked about, I mean, we're obviously both just music guys that absolutely love music. And I'm wondering, you've had some opening slots where you've had to sort of fight for that attention of maybe the headliner's audience. But this is, if I'm correct, this is your first real headlining outing. And I mean, you're doing this stretches around like New York City and all those really cool cities. I mean, how are you pinching yourself every night? I mean, it's just got to be amazing.
Am I pinching myself? I am very grateful, and it's if you get the honor of doing this job, you better work real hard every day to stay worthy of it. So my focus is playing my guts out and staying worthy of this, because it's a great opportunity, and I didn't ever think I'd be doing it. And I have a lot of people I know and care about who are still working to try and do it. And out of respect for them and out of respect for what music is and what this experience is, I just believe that the best thing I can do, not to look at it like as some sort of mystical thing, like, wow, pinch myself, more like, here we are. Let's work. Let's do this. Let's do something today. Let's make something happen today. Let's put our best foot forward, no matter how we're feeling. You have good days, you have bad days, but if at the end of the day, when your head hits the pillow, you say, I couldn't have done one more, I couldn't do anything else, I can sleep soundly on that day. And that's the goal every day, is to hit the pillow with nothing left and put yourself back together and do it again the next day.
Yeah, and as I said, from the one show I've seen so far, I was just floored. And I write about music. I cover a lot of bands and artists, so I see a lot of live music. And there's something you just can't fake. And I wonder too, as far as the live setting, do you think having a 3-piece band actually gives you an advantage over maybe some of these other artists, because all three of you become so intimately connected? I mean, there's so many great power trios and guys that I've interviewed in the past, and a trio I've always said that, there's something about it that just creates a chemistry that's unlike any other band configuration.
Well, the fourth member of our band is a space. between us, in the space around us, and we embrace that space and that silence as a member of the group. And when you hold on to that and you believe in it, it makes everything else around it grow. So what is there matters more. What isn't there matters more. And I think that, I can't speak to any advantages or disadvantages. I think every band has to just be who they are. Whether you're a 10-piece, a 3-piece, a 2-piece, a 8-piece, doesn't matter. You got to be who you are, and what we are is a trio. And we, you just try to tonally make sense together. Just speaking in more of a just kind of technical term, but you connect the floor tom and the kick drum to the bass, to the guitar, to the harmonica, to the vocal. You try and have everything tonally in a nice spot so the spectrum's all covered. But then in a more spiritual way, it's you just got to believe in each other. And I think when you have respect for each other in that musical conversation, you charge together, you make room for each other, you make room for that space, the fourth member. That's the way we're just trying to do it. And I don't know if it's an advantage or disadvantage. It's just the way we do it. And I think every band that is out there doing it has to do it their own way.
Which I don't buy a ton of vinyl, but it just really seemed to be the kind of albums I wanted on vinyl.
Man.
It's just so much fun to listen to a record, and you guys made albums, and I think that's the hard thing for people to do now. It's like everybody's so used to singles and things like that, but to piece together an album and have the tracks make sense sequentially, and side A and side B make sense. That's an art form. I mean, you must have grown up listening to a lot of albums.
Yes, we did. And we very intentionally made the record the way we did. And when we sequence a record, we're thinking in terms of side A and side B. And we want it to play like an album, and if it's on vinyl, we want it to play like, we want side A to make sense and side B to make sense. And there are a lot of great records out there that can give you a blueprint for how you can and can't do that, but as an artist, it's up to you as an artist to figure out what that means and where your sound belongs. I mean, we were recording All of This Life. We had about 10 songs done, and we decided that we were missing some elements we liked. So a couple of the songs we re-recorded it with a completely different vibe, and we're like, so there are 2 different versions of a couple of these songs, and we're like, yep, and we picked the alternate version because it made more sense in context of the record. Played better. The record played better. Yeah, with it like that.
Well, it worked. I said it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of albums I grew up listening to side A, and we never really listened to side B because side B was an afterthought. But like you said, the great albums are not only tracked properly from the first song to the last song, it just all makes sense where they are.
Yes. Mm-hmm. That's what you're shooting for, I think. At least that's what we're trying to do,
Yeah.
Make a whole thing.
You hit it as far as I'm concerned. And I said I've listened to a few albums in my day, so I really enjoy it.
Well, thank you.
Listen, man, as I said, thank you so much for this opportunity for the interview. Your, people that set this up were really gracious and got back to me very quickly. And
that's awesome.
I hope you have a safe trip on the road. And man, I can't wait. I just can't wait to see where your career goes. I'm plugging for you to come back out to my neck of the woods and play a venue called Art Park, which has a great summer series. And I think you guys would be phenomenal.
Oh, great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the interview, and I appreciate you sharing that personal story. That's really touching to hear that. And as an artist, that's above and beyond your hopes when you make a record that people can have experiences with the music like that. So thanks so much for sharing that. I will always remember that. When I say that, I mean it. So thanks so much, man.
Well, thank you, and thank you for bringing some positivity in a world that can be very divisive and crazy at times. So you guys have really done a great job with that as well.
Even the smallest light is more powerful than the deepest darkness, my friend.
Very true, very true. Well, you will definitely part on those fantastic words, man, and thank you so much.
Thanks, brother. Take care.
Take it easy.
Thank you for joining me for the second installment of Music Connects People. Please consider rating the podcast and check out the show page for contact information. Your feedback is always welcome. See you soon.